Hi there, it's Bob on board with your 15 minutes of fame. Today we have to sail back to Lavrio. The solar arch should be arriving there in the next half hour, and we're going to arrive a little bit after that, so we'll get to work on it when we get there. Quite happy that we've still made that choice and have ordered the solar arch from Atlantic Towers. It's a much lighter weight and equally as strong. See you in Lavrio. All right, let's hoist the anchor and go sailing. I'm just letting the boat swing around on the anchor, and then we get in line with the anchor. I'll ask Karen to motor ahead, and that'll take the wind load off the anchor chain, and the winch won't have to work as hard. And then I'm also flanking the chain forward, because if I don't, you get a massive pile of chain, and if it falls over, potentially the chain can get stuck underneath itself. This is light enough now, so you don't need to motor forward. Okay, there's fishing line all over the place here, so I went and got the knife, and we'll just hack that off. Okay, what a mess that was. Off the bottom now, it's just a matter of pulling up the anchor. We'll start to see it coming, and Karen's just going to keep us in the middle of the bay here, away from other boats. And there's the anchor. There we go. All right, you taking us out of here?
Let's go.
Goodbye, Kia. This third reef is going to take a little less power. The boat will have a little less power. It'll stand up a little better, sail a little flatter. There'll be less pounding and probably less water over the deck, but we'll sail just as fast. And look who's driving the boat. So this is sailing at, what do we got? 30 knots apparent. We could maybe go to a third reef on the, second reef on the jib there, but I think we're handling it quite nicely. Heel is 22 degrees in the lulls, 28 in the puffs. So you always sort of gear up for the lulls, as long as the puffs aren't taking you out, and they're not really taking us out, so we'll just keep going. How you doing up there?
It's going really good.
How's the old Ding doing back there? Seems to be surviving. I guess we'll know today if those windows are holding tight or if they're leaking water, because this is perfect conditions for a test. Actually, perfect conditions for sailing. It's one reason I love this main. The first two mains I had on the boat were old racing mains, and they only had 2 reefs. So this one has this deep, deep third reef, which is essential for days like this, when you don't have 15 guys on the rail keeping the boat flat, like you would when the boat was a race boat. And the boat can stand up a little better and sail. We'll probably stand to throw another reef in that jib, but I think we're doing okay. One thing that's really nice about this boat is with this balanced sail plan, even though we're a bit on our ear, could go a little lighter on the sail, but I can lock the wheel and it'll just sail itself. So I'm just going to sit back here. I got my foot on the wheel and I can just sit back and relax, and the boat will kind of sail itself. Oh, Karen says don't do that. One hand for the job, one hand for the boat. I'll hold on to the wheel. It's a good demonstration though, you know, it really is a well-balanced boat. Okay, so I put another reef in the jib, another roll, a couple rolls on the furler, and well, aside from that, A little bit of spray. We're sailing a little bit flatter, and we're kind of getting the same speed and making the same course. It's a little bit more comfortable. Hard to tell from there, but it's a little bit more comfortable. Oh, Karen's getting soaked up there. She's getting all the ass slapper waves. The waves that hit the back of the boat go straight up in the air and douse you if you happen. He's sitting right there. I caught one when I was up there, but now I'm down. That's why I'm down here. It's also easier to sit. You get this little curved seat you can put your ass into, and you're looking straight forward as opposed to up on the high side. I mean, I can't see the waves coming, but I can see forward without twisting my body. We're maybe down a half a knot in speed, but for a little more comfort, that's not such a bad thing.
It does feel better.
Feels better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like sitting down here because the point we've got to get around is here, and I don't want to lose any ground or lose any sea weight to leeward until we're well above that point and I can bear off and go around it. It's always important to stay well off of a lee shore. If any disaster struck and you had to run off downwind, you got nowhere to go. The island's right there. So it's good to put a bit of room between you and the lee shore when you're rounding a point like this, especially in these kind of conditions where it's windy. Parents 29, crew is 25. Look up in the port city of Lavrio. We have a solar arch that will be delivered here, where we'll be able to pick it up and install it on the port. And the arch came in this massive box. It's in essentially 3 pieces. So I took one side just to get an idea of physically how it would sit on the boat. Karen hoisted it on the main halyard, and I kind of tried it in a few different positions to find out, do we want it all the way forward with both feet flat on the deck? Do we want it with 1 foot coming underneath the push pit? Or do I want to put that 1 foot on the transom? And I think the answer is to really have the 1 foot on the transom and then the 1 foot on the deck. When you assemble it, before you mount it, you actually squeeze it about 6 inches so that it's sprung. And this makes it just a little bit stiffer to have that sprung weight. When I laid it out on the pier out here, I found that, it was too far to get it to the point where it would bolt onto the boat. So we ended up having to cut the 2 horizontal sections. I took 4 inches off of each. There's still lots of beef in there. I don't know how many places I went looking for one of these, and I'd show it to the guy in the hardware store. He goes, "Oh, those don't exist in Greece. We only have these. The next store I went into, he said, "Oh, you mean like this?" Anyway, this is the perfect thing to cut the pipe because it'll sit and be square. So my knockoff Makita saw is a bit rough cutting, so we'll have to find another way to make the cuts for the legs a little better. So this is where we got to last night. This is the arch sort of assembled. The bridge between the 2 halves. This is 1 leg, 1 foot rather. And then we'll cut this one down. And there's the mark where we cut it down. So one thing that's critical for me is to ensure that the frame is square. So I'm doing that by squaring it to the earth. The bubble's perfect. Sitting on that, that's the high spot. Yeah, so that's bubble. Exactly bubble there. Bubble there, and I got a wedge. So that means the frame is square, so when it goes on the boat it should remain square. And now I can probably drill these holes and bolt it together, and then lift it into place. So I'll also cut these legs down by 4 inches. Here, 4 inches, there's the mark. And then we'll cut that down and lift it into place. Of course, we'll have to assemble and install the feet. We'll just tie them into place temporarily so they can be marked to the right angle. I have a bridle that should hang it at the appropriate angle or close to it. I'm using the lifting tackle that I purchased for the dinghy to preload the arch. It's preloaded about 15 centimeters, 8 inches. A couple of ropes at the center of gravity to adjust it forward and back, and we'll load it on board. Karen and I worked together to bolt the solar arch down, and then of course I had to reposition the radar dome onto the side of the arch with another mount, which meant removing and uninstalling and reinstalling the whole nav pod to get the cables through. And then reinstall the chart plotter. Of course, as we left, we ended up breaking the anchor winch and had to stay another day, so it gave me time to plot out some solar panels and get some quotes, so I spent some time doing that. And the next day, we're doing a rescue mission. Last night it was windy, and it's still windy. It's blowing 25 to 35 knots out here, so this should be interesting. Forgot to put the plug back in. Ta-da! Oh, it's heavy. Big comfy ride back. So the reason we were side tied here is because the anchor winch exploded the day before when we tried to leave. So we side tied to this boat, and we've got to get to Chalcis in one day because it's the only place that we can side tie to a pier because we don't have an anchor winch. Hopefully we'll be able to sort out an anchor winch there. So in this amount of breeze, it's good to add some backstay. It helps flatten the main, flatten the jib. And then what I also have to do is run the jib sheet leads inside the shrouds. Otherwise they start to chafe on the shrouds when I sheet the jib in. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking a short sheet between the shrouds and then attaching it to the clew of the jib. We'll do the same on the other side eventually, but for now we'll do the one side and then transfer to the new jib sheet. And here we go. This is moving the car forward a bit to again move that lead inside. And then here's the port short sheet going on, and we'll need that of course when we tack. So of course here we go, preparing for attack. We'll go back to the primaries with the blue sheets, the inside sheets, and here we go. Go for attack. Karen's going to drive us through here. Of course, the nice thing about today is we've got the dinghy tied to the back of the boat. I'm going to move those pick points forward, but it's a bit of an experiment in how to strap this thing against the hull. I don't think it adjusts like that. And I haven't talked about this, but the other day one of the reefing lines came untied, and in the process of tying it back in, I got it wrong.
So I had to go sort that out. So I climbed up into the lazy bag, and it was a bit of a struggle, but was able to get the reef line in the right place.
Never know we're going 8 knots. That's what 35 knots looks like. 36.